Arthur presses Risbare pausa against the freeze, dump concrete of the bunker wall, killing the microscopic vibrations of the collapsing structure. Hans pulls a ave coil of copper wire from his belt, wrapping it to go around a rusted iron pipe to ground his portable audio spectrometer. Arthur turns the brass on his chest rig, projecting his voice into the narrow corridor. Sistema: isolar frequência de colapso estrutural. He slides the pulped headphones over his ears, twisting the gandial until the static of the crumbling concrete resolves into a crisp audio track. Arthur's fingers freeze on the dial as the visual waveform on his chest-mounted monitor speaks violently, forming a perfect, impossible geometric pattern of a suburban house. He taps the glass of the monitor with a closed index finger, muttering: "Isso é apenas um erro de calibração do sensor." Arthur drops to his knees, pressing his ear directly against the rope, salt-sanded concrete floor to listen to the structural growth without electronic interference. A single drop of more, algae-filled lake water falls from the completely dry ceiling and splashes directly onto the hot metal casing of his spectrometer. He scrambles backward, his boots slipping on the suddenly slick fluorescent stars attached the ceiling where the water originated. Arthur reaches into his tactical vest, pulling out a high-lumen tactical flashlight, and whispers: "Não há encanamento aqui embaixo." He clicks the flashlight on, setting the bright white beam across the dump walls to reveal that the shadows cast by the rusted pipes are stretched. Arthur kicks his heavy boot backward, crushing one of the elongated shadows against the floor, but the shadow simply flows over the rubber sole like black ink. He grabs the heavy metal end of the bunker's blast door, pulling it with all his upper body strength until his shoulder joints pop. Filtro de luz. Ativar modo estroboscópio. The flashlight begins to pulse in blind, rapid flashes, illuminating the narrow corridor in strobe-like bursts that make the approaching darkness look like it is jumping forward. Arthur pulls a solid titanium crowbar from his back holster, wedging the curved metal tip deeply into the cell of the blast door to pry it open. The heavy steel door does not budge, but the metal handling his grip suddenly turns freezing cold and begins to vibrate with the exact rhythm of a beating human heart. He releases the hand, staring at his trembling, closed hands as the sound of a child calling up water echoes directly from inside his own closed full headphones. Arthur rips the heavy headphones off his head and throws them onto the concrete floor, but the wet cogging sound continues to emanate from the empty right behind his neck. He slowly turns his head over his right shoulder, his eyes widening as he stares into the pitch black corner of the corridor, realizing the anomaly is not on the digital screen. Arthur raises the titanium crowbar, gripping the textured rubber handlet gel with both hands to defend himself against the shifting mass of darkness. He swings the heavy metal bar forward, striking the solid concrete wall with a deafening crack that sends bright orange sparks flying into the strobe-lit corridor. The bright sparks illuminate a tovering, facile silhouette made entirely of dripping, murky lake water, extending dust inches from his chest. Arthur drops the heavy titanium crowbar, his arms falling limply to his sides as the cold lake water splashes against his face, whispering, "Lily." Arthur steps back, his rubber-solid boots kicking loudly against the damp concrete floor as he reaches into his tactical vest to pull out his heavy digital audio recorder to analyze the room. He presses the red record button, holding the sensitive microphone capsule inches from the dripping, facile silhouette of lake water to capture the exact acoustic frequency of the anomaly. Ambient temperature is dropping rapidly, but the acoustic signature completely lacks the standard resonance of a physical fluid displacement. Arthur mutters, his tone adjusting the gain dial to filter out the low frequency of the bunker. The tovering water in it tilts its head, A slow gesture that produces absolutely no sound, while the digital display on Arthur's recorder speaks into a jagged head for that defies all non-acoustic physics. Arthur taps the glove screen with a trembling index finger, isolating the background noise to apply a high-pass filter, disparate to categorize the impossible phenomenon using his standard forensic restoration protocols. If this is just a localized hallucination induced by carbon monoxide poisoning, the auditory cortex should be processing this specific level of structural detail, recess to the empty corridor, viping a mixture of cold sweat and lake water from his forehead. Returns his back to the dripping silhouette, walking briskly toward the ave still at the far end of the strawberry talvay to physically inspect the complex electronic locking mechanism. Arthur pulls a steel multitool from his belt, flipping out the flathead screwdriver to PRY open the brushed aluminum cover of the keypad and dispose the tangled maze of colored wires inside. The biometric scanner is completely dead, but the primary circuit is still receiving a continuous 12-volt current from an external power source, Arthur states, tracing the thick red wire with his baton to check for a physical break. He strips a small section of the wire stick insulation with his teeth, spitting the bitter plastic casing onto the floor while he waits for the multimeter in his pocket to register the voltage drop. A sudden, violent drop in air pressure pops his ears, and the digital recorder in his left hand abruptly begins to playback a very distorted audio file that sounds exactly like his own voice from 20 years ago speaking in the dark. Arthur freezes in place, his multitool slipping from his grip and clattering loudly against the concrete floor, as the playback shifts from his voice to the distinct, rhythmic splashing of a child's barefoot running across a wet wooden dock near the edge of the dark lake. He slowly raises the small recorder to his ear, pressing the volume button to the absolute maximum, trying to isolate the exact timestamp of the repressed memory hidden beneath the thick ave static while his heart pulls against his ribs. Arthur Vance presses the plastic volume rocker all the way down, his tongue slipping on the sweat-slicked casing as the digital is erupts directly against his eardrum. The sampling rate is dropping, the magnetic tape is physically degrading inside the chamber. Arthur Vance mutters to the empty corridor, his breath fogged in the cold air. He levers the recorder in, his eyes looking onto the seamless concrete wall ahead as a deep, rhythmic vibration begins to shake the fine dust from the ceiling. Arthur Vance watches a thick, dark liquid start vaping from the microscopic pores of the grey cement, pulling on the cold floor and reflecting the flickering light. Concrete does not bleed. The structural integrity of this bunker is completely compromised by the seismic shifts, Arthur Vance whispers, whipping his trembling hand across his damp forehead. He crouches down slowly, pressing his bare fingertips into the puddle and bringing the black liquid to his nose, inhaling the sharp, hot scent of freshwater algae. He rubs the dark liquid between his thumb and index finger, feeling the grit texture of wet mud and tiny fragments of broken wooden dock splinters. Who is out there? The ventilation shafts are completely sealed from the inside, Arthur Vance shouts, scrambling backward until his spine slams hard against the opposite wall. He twists his neck to look behind him, expecting to see the towering, faceless entity that has been hunting him. But the shadow cast by his body is stretching. Arthur Vance stares in horror as the shadow detaches from his ears, rising up the wall and morphing into the distinct silhouette of a man wearing ave headphones. Experiencing a severe auditory hallucination brought on by extreme sleep deprivation and carbon dioxide buildup, Arthur Vance gasps, his hands flying into his ears to block the rushing water. He squeezes his eyes shut-cheeked, his fingernails digging into his scalp as the temperature in the bunker plumes and the cell of wet wood completely overpowers the ozone. Arthur Vance feels the concrete beneath his boots stop being solid, Sinkings Ligel under his weight like wet, compacted sand near the edge of a dark, sprawling lake. He shifts his weight carefully, his letter boot sinking deeper into the impossible shoreline as a cold, dark ripple spreads outward from his heel into the dry bunker. Arthur Vance phrases completely as a little Giro's voice clearly whispers his name from the dark corner of the room, completely disconnected from the dropped recorder. He tries to pull his foot free, but the wet sand grips his ankle with a sudden, crushing pressure that mirrors the exact depth of the lake. The fluorescent lights above shatter one by one, plunging the corridor into darkness as the sound of bare feet run across wet wood echoes from every wall. Arthur Vance drags his crushed ankle across the jagged concrete floor, his fingernails tearing as he pulls his heavy body toward the steel exit door. He slams his bloody palm against the metal crash bar, shouting into the dark corridor that the structural integrity is failing and demanding the automated blast doors open immediately. I have rhythmic thudding vibrates through the soles of his boots, forcing Arthur Vance to press his ear flat against the cold steel door to isolate the frequency of the approaching footsteps. He twists the brass dial on his portable audio analyzer, whispering to the empty alveoli that the acoustic signature matches the exact cadence of a child running in wet grass. The metal door suddenly grows blistering hot against his cheek, melting the skin as Arthur Vance violently recoils and drops the analyzer onto the flooded floor. He scrambles backward on his hands and knees, splashing through the rising black water while his panicked eyes dart toward the sailing ventilation shafts to find a secondary escape route. Arthur Vance grabs a loose piece of rebar from the crumbling wall, screaming at the shadows that he knows the acoustic reflections are impossible and demanding the entity stop manipulating the sound waves. The rebar bends like warm wax in his grip, snapping back to strike his own knuckles as the concrete walls begin to physically narrow inward with the deafening sound of grinding stone. He wedges his bruised shoulders between the closing walls, pushing with all his legs strengthening to keep the ceiling from crushing his skull while the freezing water hisses past his chest. Arthur Vance cogs up a mouthful of murky lake water, gasping out a frantic plea to his daughter to tell him which direction the physical exit is hidden. A small pale hand reaches out from the dark water and wraps its freezing fingers together around his wrist, pulling him downward into the submerged floor. He kicks his free leg upward with desperate force, driving his heel directly into the small submerged hand to break the grip and surface for another breath of stallure. Arthur Vance claws at the smooth concrete ceiling, screaming that the geometry of the bunker is shifting and demanding the walls return to their original blueprints. The ceiling tiles peel back like dead skin, revealing a massive rotating glass lens of a vintage tape recorder spinning directly above his trapped body. He reaches his arm upward, trying to grab the spinning rail to stop the mechanism while the wet sand from the lake pours down directly into his open mouth. Arthur Vance shocks on the grit, spitting the mud onto his own chest as the spinning lens focuses a blinding beam of light directly into his left eye. Arthur Vance forces his left eyelid shut against the searing beam, rolling his heavy body sideways to escape the direct glare of the spinning glass lens. He drags his broken fingernails across the damp concrete floor, searching for a hidden sound while the wet sand continues to bury his trembling shoulders. The frequency is completely wrong, Arthur Vance mutters, pressing his ear flat against the freezing mud to isolate the mechanical vibrating beneath the bunker. He cups his hands over his ears, filtering the tape rails roar to focus on a fine splashing showing from the dark corridor. The shadow entity steps into the periphery of his vision, its dark silhouette elongating across the floorboards as it rises a jagged, dripping appendage toward his neck. You aren't really out of phase, Arthur Vance whispers, scrambling backward until his spinning hits the curved wall, his eyes locked on the creature's fluid movements. He grabs a loose shadow of the pellet sailing chilly and hurls it directly at the entity's face, watching the projectile pass cleanly through its sock chest. The shad hits the opposite wall and shatters, releasing a sudden goo of murk lake water that floods the floor and instantly soaks Arthur Vance's trousers. He kicks his legs to swim through the rising liquid, cogging up algae and dead fish scales that taste exactly like his backyard pond. This is a localized acoustic trap, Arthur Vance yells, claving at his throat to dislodge the scales while the water level rises to his chest. The spinning tape recorder overhead suddenly reverses its direction, emitting a high-pitched screech that forces Arthur Vance down to his knees in the shallow, freezing flood. He covers his mouth to muffle his screams, staring in horror as the thick concrete walls begin to peel away like wet paper. Beneath the crumbling facade, the rusted metal frame of a children's swing set emerges from the darkness, swaying gently in a felt breeze. The shadow entity lavers its arm, pointing a dripping finger directly at the swing, and opens its mouth to emit the exact sound of a little girl crying. Arthur Vance reaches out with a shaking hand to touch the rusted chin of the swing, feeling the cold metal beat deep into his blistered palm. No, this is the sub-basement, he stammers, pulling his hand back as a fresh wave of lake water washes over his face and stings his eyes. He squeezes his eyes shut and uns a low tuning note, trying to match the pitch of the cringle to prove it is just an audio illusion. The crin abruptly stops, replaced by the ave, suffocating silence of a submerged room, leaving Arthur Vance entirely alone with the shadow entity standing inches from his face. Arthur Vance opens his tired eyes and stares directly into the featureless void of the shadow entity hovering inches from his nose. He raises his trembling hands and presses his bare paws against the freezing chest of the creature, feeling a rapid heartbeat that perfectly matches his own pulse. You are not a predator, Arthur Vance whispers, his vocal cords vibrating against the dense, waterlogged air of the collapsing sub-basement. He drops his hands and turns his back to the shadow, walking directly toward the weeping concrete wall of the dark bunker. You are a done, he says, pressing his ear flat against the roof, porous surface of the cement to isolate the ambient frequencies. Arthur Vance closes his eyes and mentally isolates the audio track of the dripping water, filtering out the loom of the old electrical grid. He reaches into his wet waterproof jacket and pulls out his digital recorder, pressing the play button to loop the ambient ringtone. Phase cancellation, Arthur Vance mutters, adjusting the frequency knobs on the device to invert the solvave of the cringle. The shadow entity behind him lunges forward, wrapping its elongated, sock fingers around his throat to physically drag him away from the solid wall. Arthur Vance ignores the crushing pressure on his windpipe and turns the volume dial on the recorder all the way to the absolute maximum threshold. Let me hear it, he shocks out, spitting a mouthful of lake water onto the grated iron floor of the sub-basement. The concrete wall dissolves into a cascade of digital static. Revealing the submerged backyard of his childhood home battered in pale, cold moonlight. He drops the recorder and falls to his knees in the wet grass, staring at the small, motionless hand floating face down in the dark ripples. I had my headphones on, Arthur Vance screams, claving at his own ears until the skin breaks and warm blood mixes with the pond water. The shadow entity releases his throat and dissolves into the mist, leaving Arthur Vance entirely alone in the shallow end of the lake. He reaches forward and wraps his blistered fingers around the tiny, cold wrist of his daughter, pulling her waterlogged body toward his chest. Arthur Vance presses his forehead against her soaked hair, Feeling the exact temperature of the water that claimed her life 7 years ago reopens his mouth and forces air into her tiny lungs, pushing the muddy liquid out through her nose in a violent, rhythmic motion. Listening, he whispers, keeping his mouth sealed over as while the lake water his past his chin and covers his eyes. Arthur Vance holds his breath and waits for the dark surface of the cold water to break, listening for the first sound she makes. Arthur Vance kicks his legs against the submerged concrete debris, feeling the sharp edges of the collapsed ceiling scrape his bare shins. The muddy lake water suddenly fractures into jagged pixels of grey acoustic fall, dissolving the physical illusion of the drowning pool. He rips the heavy noise-cancelling headphones from his bleeding ears, gasping as the deafening roar of the lake is instantly replaced by the ceterillium of studio equipment. The frequency is completely wrong. Arthur Vance shocks out, spitting a thick mouthful of black lake water onto the soap-proof floor of his actual studio. The shadow that chased him through the concrete corridors steps into the dim light, its featureless face peering away to reveal a rusted pair of studio monitors. Arthur Vance slams his open paws against the mission console, watching the analog voltmeter spike violently into the head as a hidden audio track begins to play. He filtered out the background noise to protect myself, he whispers, pressing his trembling fingers against the cold metal of the desk. The speakers blast the exact sound of frantic splashing, followed by the attitude of his own headphones searing to go over his ear 7 years ago. Arthur Vance drops to his knees, clutching his chest as the concrete walls of his mental prison shatter into thousands of floating, glowing audio waveforms. You built the bunker to trap the sound, the shadows voice echoes, vibrating directly from the center of Arthur Vance's own skull. Arthur Vance reaches into his soaked pocket, pulling out the waterproof digital recorder and placing it gently on the mission desk. He presses the play button with a trembling tone, watching the digital screen illuminate the dark studio with a harsh blue glow. The water was rising, Arthur Vance mutters, staring at the audio waveforms peeking across the tiny screen. The shadow steps closer, its dark fingers extending to gently press the pause button on the recorder, stopping the relentless splashing sound. Arthur Vance shoves the shadow's arm away, his knuckles turning white as he grips the edges of the desk to anchor himself. I need to hear the exact moment it happened, he says, his voice cracking as he reaches for the master volume knob. He crawls toward the blinking headlight of the recording booth, dragging his soaked body across the thick carpet to reach the isolation switch. Arthur Vance grabs the heavy metal handle of the booth door, realizing the deadbolt was installed by his own hands to keep the memory from escaping. He turns the master volume knob to the right, bracing his body for the impact of the raw audio file. Let me hear the unedited track, Arthur Vance demands, yanking the heavy soap-proof door open to face the blinding white light of the isolated room. Arthur Vance steps through the threshold, his bare feet sinking deep into the ankle-deep freezing water that now floods the blinding white isolation room. He reaches out with trembling, batter-lodged fingers to grip the sharp edge of the mission console, pulling his heavy body pricked against the violent current pulling at his legs. Arthur Vance whispers the command to isolate the vocal track, his voice cracking violently as he stares at the single rail-to-rail tap spinning erratically on the rusted metal deck. He slams his open palm against the main playback button, forcing the heavy mechanical lever down with all his remaining strength until it clicks into the locked position. The massive studio speakers erupt with the deafening roar of splashing water and the high-pitched, disparate coughing of a 7-year-old girl struggling beneath the surface of the backyard lake. Arthur Vance clamps both hands together over his ears, squeezing his eyes shut as the dart, Tovering Shadow has been running from final steps through the Ave buff do Orvai. Arthur Vance listens as the Shadow commands him to take the headphones off. Its deep voice show through the small room with the exact timbre of his own internal monologue. He slowly drops his hands and forces his eyes open, watching the monstrous entity instantly dissolve into a shallow puddle of mud lake water and tangled green fishing line. Arthur Vance grabs the edge of the console again, his knuckles turning white as he stares at the dense soap profile on the walls, recognizing the exact geometric pattern of the acoustic panels installed in his real studio. He reaches deep into his soaked jacket pocket and pulls out the Ave Brass deadbolt machines, realizing the cold metal is strangely warm and clearly bears his own fingerprints. Arthur Vance guys that relock it in here, dropping the Ave Brass machines onto the metal console where it lands with a loud, final thud. Returns back to the spinning tap, stepping directly into the center of the freezing flood water to press his face mere inches from the vibrating paper speaker cones. The raw audio shifts from the chaotic splashing water to the muffled, rhythmic thumping of his own expensive studio headphones completely blocking out his daughter's final cries for help. He reaches out with a shaking hand to touch the wet glass of the observation window, watching his own reflection morph into the pale, waterlogged face of his drowned child. Arthur Vance falls a ville to his knees in the rising water, pressing his bare hands flat against the vibrating speakers to feel the exact frequency of his own fatal negligence. The overhead studio lights suddenly shattering a cascade of glass, plunging the room into absolute darkness as a new, rhythmic dripping sound begins issuing from the darkest corner of the completely flooded buff. Arthur Vance vades through the freezing water toward the dark corner, his trembling hands tracing the damp concrete wall to find the source of the rhythmic dripping. He strikes a waterproof match, the sudden flare illuminating a rusted metal door that has been a ville welded shut from the inside with thick beads of fresh, cooled steel. There is no exit, Arthur Vance whispers, his voice cracking as he drops the burning match into the black water. Arthur Vance pulls a rusted audio cable from the wall, wrapping the frayed copper wire to go around his wrist to anchor himself against the shifting current. He closes his eyes, tuning out the ambient of the bunker to focus entirely on the microscopic scratches embedded in the vibrating magnetic tap. The Ave footsteps behind him abruptly stop, and Arthur Vance slowly turns around, raising his bare arms to defend against the shadowy entity. The darkness parts to reveal a tovering wall of acoustic foam, embedded with hundreds of tangled cables pulsing with the exact frequency of his daughter's final cries. Arthur Vance falls forward, pressing his ear directly against the panels as he isolates the hidden track beneath the static. He took the headphones off, he sobs, his fingers digging into the dense foam until his nails bled. The concrete wall shattered into thousands of floating magnetic tap ribbons, burying Arthur Vance in a sea of tangled audio equipment. Arthur Vance reaches out to grab a single reel of tap, but the water suddenly drains away, dropping him onto the dry grass of his backyard. He looks down at his hands, watching the lake water evaporate into thin air as the Ave studio headphones materialize around his neck. Arthur Vance turns his head toward the voice, his breath catching as he sees a little girl in a yellow swimsuit stand at the edge of the deep end. He slowly stands up, taking a single step toward the water, as the little girl turns around to reveal the pale, waterlogged face of his drowned child.